A lot of people say that you should work for free, and I completely agree with that when the situation is correct, when that's going to benefit your resume, your showreel, or your personal brand. However, I think sometimes you should think about the long term and not necessarily just the short term. Sometimes the short term monetary gain may seem great at the beginning that you have made this money, but in the long term, it's not the great strategy. I worked for free for 4 months for a video production agency. And it was a great time. I got, to go into great working environments. I worked on some fantastic clients, including Canon, Unilever. I even flew to Cannes Lions to shoot some stuff there. But there becomes a point where working for free, it can become a bit of a habit. You kind of get these opportunities come to you and you think, I'll work for very, very low, or I'll work for free, because it allows me to build a bigger portfolio or a show reel, or to have my resume say I've done all of these different things, and you think that'll look good in the long term for your career, for future employers. And there is that to a degree, but you need to make sure that you don't get caught out into feeling pressurized into having this become a habit where you feel like you have to work for free or for very cheap just to get that experience on your resume. For me, it got to a point where if you had a ratio, I was working more for free than I was for paid. And that's a problem, especially when you're doing that for an extended period of time. The ratio should always be leaning towards you getting paid for your time and the value that you're bringing to a client over working for free. I fell into this trap of working for free very often, even for opportunities that were not even worth working for free. It just became this habit and I was stuck, and I just was not valuing myself and the work that I was producing that was worthy of actually being paid a substantial amount of money. In late 2018, I got very frustrated with the creative industries, which is what I was working in as a photographer, video editor, sort of a videographer and cinematographer. Like, I was doing a lot of photo and video stuff, some design stuff, all in the creative industry. And I just got very frustrated because I found that your peers and other businesses don't necessarily value that skill particularly well, and they kind of want you to work for free or for very cheap. Because everyone now has an iPhone with a camera on it, everyone posts pictures to Instagram and thinks that they're this amazing photographer, which is not the case. Talented photographers are very, very talented for a purpose. They work hard because they have an eye that can see certain shots that most people can't. They also have incredible camera equipment and lighting equipment that allows them to pull off, compositions and photographs that couldn't be done by the usual person with an iPhone, where they just point and click the button and that's done. But because we live in this world where everyone has a camera, everyone believes that they're a photographer, and so the actual skill of photography is deemed less valuable than it actually is. And I got frustrated with this because your peers would ask you to take photos and you'd say, yeah, sure, here's the price. And they'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, I don't know if I want to pay that. And these were cheap prices at times because I wasn't confident in charging higher amounts because I knew it'd be a straight up no. For a full day shoot, I would charge £100, £150, and people would be like, oh no, it's too high, can you not do it for free? Or can you do it very, very cheaply? And sometimes I do stuff like a whole day's work of shooting and then another day of editing for like £50, which was equivalent to about, I don't know, $60, $70. That's nothing. Yet I was stuck of thinking that was how I was meant to do it. That was my skill. That was how much it cost, because no one else valued that skill. And when you took that from your peers and your friends and your family and you elevate that to large companies, they won't pay you hundreds, let alone thousands, for your living, because they can always find someone who's willing to do it cheaper or for free. Because everyone in the creative industry feels like they got to work for free. We've kind of all got ourselves and devalued ourselves compared to if we all charged a substantial amount, that would then become the new norm. So in late 2018, I got fed up with the creative industry and I pivoted slightly and I moved away from the creative industry, still in creative work, but into marketing. So it's kind of like the creative industry with a tinge of business within it. what I found when I had this switch was that people truly value marketing. It's a high valued skill, and they actually value the word marketing, because to business people, the word marketing means it's a way to spend money to earn more money. Whereas when you're a photographer, all they see is you're just someone who takes a photo. They don't understand what comes through that. Or if you're someone who creates amazing visuals and makes incredible videos that help people, that can persuade people to buy that product, they don't see it in that way. They just see you as someone who shoots a video. Compared to marketing, they understand that because there's a business element to it. After many months of working in the marketing industry, I was approached by some clients that I'd worked for before. These were Adobe. I'm sure you probably know them if you are in the creative industry. Huge company. And in the past, I've worked with them several times, but I always worked for free. Because they were such a big name, in my mind, it was great to have this as my show reel or on my CV or my resume, because in the long term, having Adobe on there looks great and it will lead to more clients. But at this particular point when they came to ask me, I kind of had mentally switched off from the creative industry and I was focused solely on marketing. And so I wasn't too bothered about going and working, shooting a video for them at this event, because I just felt like I'd left that behind. That was in the past. But I kind of felt like I couldn't just give up on Adobe. And so I said to myself, okay, you know what I'm going to do? I'm not going to work for free. I don't care if I lose this opportunity, really. I'm just going to charge them a high amount, what I feel I should be valued for the hard work and the time that I'm going to put into this. And just because this was sort of like a side income thing and not my main job, I didn't mind losing it. So I put across this number when they asked me how much I charge. And I kind of thought, well, you know, that's it. I'll see what they say. And I wasn't necessarily, you know, waiting for a response of them saying, yes, of course, we'll pay you this. So after I charged them this high price, what happened was I received an email the next day from Adobe agreeing to this price. And this price was over £1,000, which is like over $1,200. For 1 day's work. I was earning over that for 1 day's work. And this completely blew my mind, because all of the previous times I've worked for them, I worked for free or very cheaply. Why? I was sort of confused. I was like, why are they paying me this high amount when before I was working for free? Like I couldn't necessarily understand what had happened there. And I'd also, you know, done this with other clients leading up to that point. And what I found was there was a different attitude when it came to actually paying for my services. So this lesson is really important to you if you're in the creative industries or you have any clients of any sort. And that's to charge a high price that you think that you are worth, what your value truly is. You know, always charge that higher price. You may say, why? I might lose, you know, all of my clients. I might lose this, I might lose that. You're kind of coming at it from fear because you've not had this experience that I've had. You've not had this lesson happen to you for you to truly realize. So this lesson is extremely important for those of you who are in the creative industry or any clients that you may have at all. Always charge a higher price that you believe that you are valued. You know, you may be thinking, why would I do that? And I think that comes down to, it's because businesses truly value you once they've paid a high price. Once they've actually had a large amount of money leave their hand and go into yours, they believe that you can actually create the value that you're saying you can, because you wouldn't be charging that price otherwise. If you had low confidence like I did and didn't think anyone would pay me these high prices, if I, you know, said, oh, I'll work for free or I'll work for a couple of £100, to businesses, they may feel that that's the only how much that you can provide. You know, if you could do better, you would charge more. If you're gonna work for free, clearly you're not good enough to be charging a high amount. Whereas when you actually charge a high amount, something I think twigs in their mind where they actually realize, oh, this guy or girl actually knows what they're doing because they're paying a high price and actually value the fact that I'm doing it, and they're going to deliver because they're charging £1,000, £2,000. And so I think businesses are actually more willing to go ahead and do that. Okay, so here's a thought exercise for you. If you were going to shoot a video and you spoke to someone who could create this video for you, and they said, for this one day's work, I will charge £500. You may go, whoa, that's too high. £500, no way am I spending £500 on one video. I'll just go and get someone else to do it for cheap, or I'll do it myself. Now, imagine that I had £1 million here or $1 million and I just gave it to you, or you won the lottery. All of a sudden you have £1 million in your bank account and you've still got to shoot this video. Are you going to go back to that freelancer who is charging £500 now that you can afford him? No, heck no. You're going to make sure that you now will go to the person who charges £1,000, £2,000, £3,000 because they clearly know what they're doing, right? They're charging a higher price, so they must be premium. They must be very good and create high quality videos. So I'm going to go and pay them. And that's the same way that businesses look at the world of creatives. Most creatives undervalue themselves or work for free, whereas those that actually charge high prices, even though that individual may not be better than the person who's working for free, the businesses perceive that that person has value and will be happy to pay them. So just think about that thought experiment a bit more, that thought exercise. If you had £500, you would not pay someone £500 to make a video. But if you had a lot more money in the bank, which most companies do, they will always pay money out to someone who's actually higher because they perceive the value is greater. The lesson to take away here is to value yourself and charge a higher price. This was only a lesson that I learned once I gave up caring about the creative industry and caring about freelancing. It was only once I fully gave up and didn't care about losing a potential client did I realize that actually charging a higher amount is the correct thing to do. So the next time you have a potential client come to you, email you, think about charging a little bit higher of a price and seeing what happens. If you charge too high and you start to see that multiple clients are saying it's too high, maybe come down a little bit and knock that ladder down until you find where people start to say yes, and then play around that area on your pricing ladder until you see something that works for you where you are currently with your business. So there you go. That's something that I wanted to share with you today. On this YouTube channel, I talk a lot about money, business development, online businesses specifically, I should mention, self-development, all of that kind of jazz when it comes to mindset and entrepreneurship. If you really like this video and you actually found that you got something out of it, I recommend that you check some of the other videos on my channel because I feel like they can really help you in self-development. And one thing I would say to you right now is to pause this video, scroll down to the comments and write one thing that you learned from this video. Actually think and write it out, what you learned, because that is going to make it sure that it sticks in your head and that you make sure that you clearly understand the lesson that I taught you in this video. I hope that helped. If you did, be sure to give the video a like and hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, as it really helps me out on this YouTube channel. Have a great day and I hope to see you all in the next one.